Shri Suresh Prabhuji has joined, sir, and it is sharp at 3. And sir, very good afternoon to each one of you, and very good afternoon to Shri Suresh Prabhuji. Sir, I am Dr. Yogesh Shrivastava, and I will start this program formally with your kind permission, sir. So before I request our president to, Dr. D.K. Agarwal to give the presidential remarks, sir, with your kind permission and for the benefits of all the participants, I would like to share a brief profile of Shri Suresh Prabhuji. Shri Suresh Prabhakar Prabhuji, Honorable Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, is currently the Prime Minister Sherpa for G20 and G7 nations. He was the former Minister of Commerce and Industry and Civil Aviation of Government of India. He has handled several ministries in past, from railways to environment, power and heavy industries. He was also the chairman of the task force on interlinking of rivers. He is a chartered accountant by profession and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI. Shri Suresh Prabhuji is known as a man of action, having a penchant for undertaking reforms, scripting tremendous and achieving superlative results by working in mission mode, an advocate for decisive growth-driven change. He is well respected for his impeccable integrity, passion, and commitment towards society at large. He has been guided by the dream and mission to balance the needs of human development while preserving the fragile environment. Shri Prabhuji believes in listening to criticism of the government's policy, which he says helps in reorienting the policies towards the greater common goods. He is also a believer in people's participation in the working of the ministries under him, especially through the involvement of stakeholders. We are very thankful to Shri Suresh Prabhuji for having given his consent for attending this interface, which is basically there for exact 55-60 minutes, since he has to go sharp at 4, I have been told by his office. And the name of the program is Challenges and Way Forward Post COVID-19. So with this introduction, I would request our President, Dr. D.K. Agarwal, to kindly give presidential address briefly. And then, sir, we will take few questions, and then we will request Shri Suresh Prabhuji to give his address. Over to Dr. D.K. Agarwal, President, PSG Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Thank you, Yogesh. Good afternoon, everyone. Shri Suresh Prabhuji, Honorable Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Mr. Sanjay Agrawal, our Senior Vice President, PSG Chamber. Mr. Pradeep Multani, Vice President, PSG Chamber. Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, Secretary General. Mr. Yogesh Shrivastava, Principal Director, PSG Chamber of Commerce. Former Presidents of PSD, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, your mere presence gives us a lot of confidence. In these times of COVID-19, when every activity has come to halt, and whether it is business activity, I mean, everything has come to a halt, and the confidence level of the entrepreneurs is at the lowest. And in these times, having your presence and getting guidance from you would be a big thing for all of us. Sir, I would like to give you the PSD perspective for this COVID-19 situation. There are two things. One, this lockdown has been extended up to 3rd May. And even now, there is an uncertainty whether this lockdown will further get extended or we will open. So in these uncertainties, the businessman is getting even more confused. Sir, in these times, what the confidence of the entrepreneur has really been shaken, and we are looking a stimulus package, and delay in stimulus package every day is further creating issues. The cost of delaying this stimulus package and cost of the restarting the economic activity is very big if I look at India. Sir, there are two priorities. One is the stimulus package being announced, and second, the economic activity getting started. What PSD has recommended, that in all the green areas, in all those belts which we say green belt, where COVID-19 impact is not there, the economic activity should get started immediately. The government has come out with some relaxations after this 20th of April. However, what we want is these activities should not start in isolation. The entire ecosystem, be it retailer, be it trader, showrooms, entire activities should get started. Even you need the service industry, the repairs. I mean, everything should get started. Of course, with the 50% manpower, with observing all the social distancing rules, with observing all standard operating process, all hygiene. So what we say that allow everything except public gathering activities, maybe the mall, gym, swimming pool, the movie hall, maybe even the metros, the railways, the airlines. They may not get started now, but accepting these, all the entire ecosystem should get started. And the stimulus package, as I said, PSG chamber has asked for a 16 lakh crore package. And we believe this is around 7% of the GDP. And if we go by the report of IMF, which has said Indian economy will grow at a rate of 1.9%. And the other agency, Fitch Solution, they have revised our growth to 1.8%. If that is the kind of growth, then we would see a lot of MSMEs going out of the system. There can be huge layoff, pay cuts, and the Indian economy can really be in trouble. So we need a growth of at least 4% to sustain our MSME, to ensure that there is full employment and economy is back on track. So to achieve this 4% growth, PSG chamber has recommended a stimulus package of 16 lakh crore. So we would request you, because your inputs matters a lot, and your understanding about the economy, your understanding about the MSME sector is par excellence. So I'm sure that your interaction with you will help us in getting this kind of stimulus package. Sir, what this stimulus package would have, what would be the constituents? One is right now, the MSME sector, or even for that matter, the entire industry, they have paid the salary for the month of March. Now they have to pay the salary for the month of April. But a lot of entities are finding it very difficult, because there have been zero activity, zero revenue in these 2 months, and expenses are continuing, be it rent, be it statutory liabilities, be it utility bills. So your expenditures are as it is. There's slight reduction, but your income is zero. So how this salary would be paid, that is a question mark. As PSG chamber, we have suggested that one, government pays say 50% to 75% of the salary, though we have asked 75%. But like UK, they are paying 80% of the salaries. Similarly, on the same pattern, we are saying that government should pay the salary at least 25% in case of MSME. Or the other way, we have said the ES contribution, the contribution of PF, employers contribution, which totals around 29%, 12.5%, 12.5%, 4%. If this 29% is made zero, I mean, there's no contribution being asked to be deposited, this saving of 29% for next 1 year, we're asking this concession for 1 year, this would really boost the confidence of the industry, and this could really mitigate a lot of pains of the industry. So that 29% saving will be a huge saving. Similarly, we have said that create liquidity. I mean, we have number of demands, because today we want to hear you. I would not go for those demands. So liquidity should be created. And we have said that 25% automatic increase in working capital. So no application is to be made. There should be an automatic increase in the working capital limit by 25%. Government has talked about 10%, but considering this lockdown has extended substantially, so we are saying that at least 25% increase in working capital should be there. Similarly, we have talked of some long-term measures, which says that that income tax rate for MSME sector, particularly who are into LLP category, partnership category, or proprietorship, their rate of income tax should come down to 22% and 15% as it has been done in case of corporate. So there are a number of suggestions. I would not talk of all that, but I'm sure I just wanted to give you the idea that what industry is looking for. And with this, I would close here. I'm sure the interaction with you and the questions which would be raised by our members would give you the state of the thinking of the industry, and of course, we would look some good answers and good persuasion from your side to the Prime Minister Office, to the Finance Ministry, and I'm sure that some positive result would come out. With this, I close here, and thank you very much for coming to today's webinar, which I'm sure is going to be very helpful for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Thank you very much for your setting the agenda. I have been, with the kind permission of Shri Suresh Prabhuji, I have got 3-4 important questions, sir, with your kind permission. If I can request the leadership, our Senior Vice President, if he wants to have one brief question. Senior Vice President, if you have one brief question. No. I can go to the Vice President, Mr. Pradeep Multani. Sir, if you can have a brief question.
Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Prabhu Saab, it is always a pleasure to be with you, and one feels so good when one sees honest, dedicated, and outstanding individuals and humans like you. Thank you very much for being with us. So the subject, challenges for industry and way forward post COVID-19. So today we are finding that the world is disgusted with China, thanks to whatever mess they have created, and everyone wants to move out. However, I mean, and the facts speak that 300 companies moved out, big companies. Only 3 have come to India. So India needs to drastically take some steps in today's date immediately. Otherwise, this is this golden opportunity which is for India. We will miss out the bus again, and we just simply cannot afford to do that. So
sir, just to add, yeah, please go ahead.
And sir, in today's date, we have to have ways of doing business. The world is the market for everyone. Why should they come to India if we have irresponsible statements by 50 IRS officers who are saying we'll increase the taxes and things like that? I think the government needs to take immediate drastic action against these irresponsible statements, and also do something that if anyone wants to come to India, they should be able to set up the factory within 7 working days. And once they start off, let them get all the due permissions after 1 year. The corruption, red tapeism has to go to zero, sir. One window service, and this must go.
Thank you.
So another issue, post-COVID. One little more on. So yeah. Post-COVID, one needs to also understand, so that China has been able to control their this full China virus in a very effective manner, and we all know there is no cure for it. They were using the traditional Chinese medicine. Our Honorable Prime Minister is also pushing for the Ayush system. If we look at it, in today's date, only 3% of the budget goes to the Ayush sector. 97% is going by the powerful allopathic lobby. We have seen the mess which is in America, in England, Canada, the so-called rich economies with outstanding healthcare systems. So we need to come back to to give equal importance to the Ayush system. That is the only way we can provide healthcare to all our fellow Indians. Balance, of course, all questions our President has said. I also am very worried. We better have some package for the industry because the industry is dying. Thank you very much, sir, and God bless you.
Thank you, Vice President, sir. We have also connected with our former President, Mr. Anil Khaitan. Can I request Mr. Anil Khaitan to...
First, Senior Vice President, he is now correct.
Yeah, Senior Vice President, you want to have one question?
Yeah. Prabhu sir, Namaskar. I'm Sanjay Agarwal, Senior Vice President, and it's really a privilege to be having this opportunity to share an interaction with you, sir. We know that you are among the foremost thinkers in our country, but not only thinkers, you are among the doers also, sir. So I guess one important question that is now required, our pain and our difficulties. In any case, sir, we have our President has brought out to you, and of course the expectations of the industry. Our Vice President has also talked about very important issues. Only one thing I would like to add, sir, here is that the National Infrastructure Plan for 100 lakh crore rupees, which is supposed to be spent over the next 5 years, it was supposed to be slightly backloaded, which we, by request or Chamber's request, has been now for since in the COVID times, is that it must be now front-loaded instead of being kept backloaded. If earlier we were planning to spend something like 15-17 lakh crores in the first year and maybe 30 lakh crores in the last year, let us at least make it equal or 20 lakh crores right from the very first year, or preferably to increase our expenditure in the very first year. This expenditure, sir, of course, earlier we had planned that a good part of it would come from the private sector, which we all know will not be possible anymore because of the current economic situation. But at the same time, we have got sufficient reserves, foreign exchange reserves, and our inflation is quite low. In fact, we are staring at a deflation practically. So this is the time when our economy should be able to take the load of spending where it is needed today, sir. So the National Infrastructure Plan, sir, the first request or suggestion would be that it must be front-loaded now. We must spend at least 100 lakh crores, for 1/5 of that, 20 lakh crores in the very first year, sir, maybe more. Second request, sir, is that even in this NIP, our focus must be on those infrastructure projects which require the maximum labor, because we have to now provide employment to the people who are going to lose a lot of jobs because of the current COVID situation. The next request is, sir, that a special focus is needed on the social sector. We are, the hard infrastructure definitely is most important, but at least 20% of our spending must be on social infrastructure, which would at the foremost, at the first point, should increase spending on medical infrastructure, both CAPEX and OPEX. We must spend much more money on the very, very, under-equipped hospitals that we have. We have got 10,000 government hospitals in the country. And I recently read a very interesting article, sir, in the Times of India last Sunday itself by Chetan Bhagat, which said that if you've got 10,000 hospitals in the country, even if you spend just 10 crores per hospital, what is the return that you are going to get in terms of lives saved and the national level of health? I think it is going to be having a huge multiplier effect. So it's not just CAPEX and OPEX on hospitals, meaning that we need to double our doctors, we need to double our nurses, we need to double our paramedics. In addition to that, sir, we need to spend on education. We need to spend on vocational training. This is the soft infrastructure that once we build, I think it is going to help now. I heard, there is this remark by one, I think some Mr. Rome, who used to be the chief of staff of Barack Obama in 2008, who said that let's not let a good crisis go waste. Now that is originally attributed to Winston Churchill. And we should also not let this crisis go waste. If we are going to spend huge amounts of money, which are needed in any case, let us spend it where it is going to make a difference in the long term, sir. So let us spend it on our social sector, on our medical, on our education, on now one more thing that I would like to specially add, where we have seen that the role that the police plays and the importance of judiciary, we must spend heavily on judiciary, the CAPEX, OPEX again, appoint the required number of policemen, judges, build the number of courts, police stations, and all that social infrastructure in addition to the hard infrastructure we are talking about, sir. Even if we are not buying or selling much, we will be building something for the long term, sir.
Thank you.
That's our submission, sir.
Thank you, Senior Vice President. We have Mr. Anil Khaitan, our former President. Sir, if you can kindly tell briefly, Mr. Anil Khaitan.
Kindly unmute him.
Yeah, Param, if you can kindly unmute for our former President, Mr. Anil Khaitan. He is not there. Can I request Mr. Mukesh Gupta, our Chairman of the Media Committee, sir? If you can kindly briefly ask, and then we will request Shri Suresh Prabhuji to give his remarks. Over to Mr. Mukesh Gupta.
नमस्कार सुरेश जी, मैं मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट कमेटी का चेयरमैन हूं और एक एडवर्टाइजिंग एजेंसी चलाता हूं। तो मेरा एक एक्सपीरियंस बड़ा ऐसा रहा है कि जितनी हमारी ब्यूरोक्रेसी है ना, वो हर चीज में हमारे कामों को रोकने वाली है। एज ए चैम्बर में तो मैं ज्यादा नहीं बोल सकता, लेकिन मैं आपको अपना पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस बताता हूँ। मेरा बहुत मिनिस्ट्रीज के साथ काम करने का मेरे को मौका मिलता है और मैं काम करता हूँ। तो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस यही है कि जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी लेवल हो या सेक्रेटरी लेवल हो, हर लेवल पर पॉलिसी मेकर वही है टोटली, उन्हीं के हिसाब से पॉलिसी बनती है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री एक बढ़िया चीजें लेकर के आते हैं, बढ़िया काम करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ब्यूरोक्रेसी ऐसा घुमाती है, ऐसा घुमाती है, वो कुछ का कुछ बन जाता है। अभी शुरू से ही जब पिछली सरकार थी, अटल जी की सरकार थी, तब भी और इस बार हमेशा हमारा स्वदेशी के ऊपर जोर रहता है। ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था को की तरफ हमेशा ध्यान लाया जाता है, लेकिन जितनी पॉलिसी बनती हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं उन सबको नुकसान पहुंचाती है। आज भी पोजीशन क्या है कि पता नहीं क्यों सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान ही एक ऐसा देश है जो सारी WTO की पॉलिसियों ने सब चीजों को मानने को बाध्य है। आज अमेरिका कुछ करना चाहे, चाइना कुछ करना चाहे, उसके लिए कोई पॉलिसी लागू नहीं है। हमारे देश में ये फल, सब्जियां, ड्राई फ्रूट, दाल, मसाले, ये सब बहुत होती है। इसके बावजूद भी हम उनको बहुत सारे इंपोर्ट उनको खोला हुआ है। इन सब को क्यों नहीं हम स्वदेशी को बढ़ाने की बात करते हैं? क्यों नहीं हम अपनी ब्यूरोक्रेसी को इन चीजों के लिए एजुकेट करते कि जो भी चीज हो हमारे यहाँ की लागू होनी चाहिए।
थैंक यू मुकेश जी, थैंक यू सो मच। हमारे साथ अनिल खेतान जी जुड़ गए हैं। सर मैं लास्ट क्वेश्चन उनका लेना चाहूंगा। अनिल खेतान जी को परमजीत प्लीज अनम्यूट कर दीजिए, हमारे फॉर्मर प्रेसिडेंट हैं। ही हैज जस्ट नाउ सेंट मी अ व्हाट्सएप, प्लीज अनम्यूट मिस्टर अनिल खेतान।
Sir, he is not joining.
Paramjit, if you can kindly unmute Mr. Anil Khaitan, please. Is he there?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Yeah, please. Mr. Khaitan, पूछिए।
उनको अनम्यूट कर दिया।
अनिल जी का मेरे पास 2 बार आया था, anyway, शायद
now can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mr. Khaitan. Please go ahead.
Right, good afternoon or good evening, sir. I'd just like to express my anguish whilst we remain in overcoming the health pandemic through timely and decisive action at all levels. Chances of economic revival are becoming ever so slim due to delays in policy announcements and execution thereof. Industry and its people, sir, cannot wait endlessly for want of a support package. It is upon the competent authorities to be nimble and responsive to the evolving need of the economy and inject the much needed support as has been done by other economies world over. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Khaitan. Thank you so much for your answer. Now, on behalf of everybody, I would request Shri Suresh Prabhu ji to kindly give his remarks. Over to Shri Suresh Prabhu ji.
तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं जब भी PhD चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स और इंडस्ट्री में आया हूँ तो हर बात मैंने इस बात का एहसास किया है कि यहाँ के लोग सोचते देश के लिए है, उनकी सोच बहुत ही आने वाले दिनों की जो चुनौतियाँ होगी उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए की जाती है, और साथ ही में एक वेल थॉट ऑफ प्रपोजल जिसको कहते हैं उसी तरह से आप हमेशा हमको पेश करते हैं। So I would like to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity, and I really appreciate all your ideas and suggestions. In fact, to tell you very frankly, rather than reacting to these suggestions, I would say they're all very, very useful suggestions. So let me do my best to find out how they can be conveyed to the right people so that they can be implemented over a period of time. Broadly, the suggestions are of two types. One is to deal with immediate problems, like what has happened now. So how it should be reopened, like the president said, because the lockdown cannot go on indefinitely. But while the lockdown is on, how do we make sure that when we work out on it, exit strategy? If an exit strategy is very important, we have a historical background to this. Abhimanyu had to come out of it. So we have to think about how to come out with it as effectively so that we come out with it and we try to use it in the best possible way. So when we think of coming out of it, as you personally, President, initially mentioned about it, the opening has to happen in a manner that will be seamless activity can be carried out. Like if you take only the front-ended part of it, like for example, I allow the showroom to be open. But if I have to put a showroom to be open for a car, for example, then if the car is not manufactured, what is going to be stored in the room? And even if the car has to be manufactured, then it cannot be manufactured unless the component factory is open. Because you cannot manufacture a car without a component. If the component factory has to be open, and which is largely in a way moral for auto component industry, small scale. If it has to be open, then we'll have to ensure that workers can come there. If workers have to come there, then transport has to open. If transport has to open, then we have to work on many things. So absolutely correctly, very well pointed out that services, agriculture and manufacturing are all interrelated in one way or the other. It is like heart, liver and kidney. You cannot say heart is important or kidney is important or liver is important. All are important because they make the body function. So same way to reopening time also we'll have to keep this in mind, and then only it can happen very effectively. The problem we are facing today is unprecedented. You'll all agree. None of us have ever seen it, anything like this. Not even a science fiction movie, which normally talks about going from one planet to another and things like this, could never even make a movie on this subject. But they also could not imagine that something like this could ever happen, that the whole world will be locked down in this particular way. Why we are locked down? Because actually, if you really look at it, it started in China, in Wuhan, that province. When it started, the Chinese clamped down and locked down the entire area and localized the problem. In the Wuhan province also, it was not the entire province, but that part of the province where it was affected, they made sure that the rest of the province, rest of the country, rest of the geographical territory, rest of the activities were completely spun off from that, and they actually localized on that issue. So that became like a model. Why? Because we don't have either a drug or a vaccine. If we had something like this, then we could have dealt with this. Since we don't have anything, that we can only say the only way I can make it happen and try to work on it is preventing those persons who are affected not getting mixed with others so that there is no more spread of it. Now, this lockdown, therefore, something which came out of no one's imagination. We could not have thought about it 3 months, 4 months back, that ever the world will be, not India, even the world will be locked. Just imagine 97% of aircrafts globally are today grounded. So travel industry, tourism industry, aviation industry will lose something like $400 billion of lost revenue in this current scenario. If depends upon how long the lockdown goes globally. But even today, that's what they estimate as per the ICO. So we have a very big challenge. So point that your president made is extremely important. When you open up, you must open up in a way and open up so that there has to be a trade-off between saving lives and saving economy. As Prime Minister said, जहाँ भी अच्छा है, जान भी अच्छी है और जहान भी चाहिए. दोनों को साथ में रखते हुए काम करने की जरूरत है. So having worked on that, that's one part of suggestion that you made. And therefore, I would definitely please also send me the details of it. I will make sure, as I said, we'll take it forward. The second part of your suggestion, and most of the senior members, senior office bearers focused on that, is working on taking this as an opportunity to make things better. As you just mentioned, your senior vice president, that every challenge is an opportunity. The crisis can be a beginning of a new inning if you work on it. So this is something we should also keep in mind. And there many good suggestions have been made. For example, you mentioned about judiciary, you mentioned about police, you mentioned about IS and the administration. If you look at it, for a long time, we have thought about reforming many sectors. You mentioned, and I thank the person who was introducing me, You mentioned I handled various portfolios. You're absolutely right. I handled 10 cabinet positions. In fact, this is my 6th term in the parliament. The 4 terms I was in Lok Sabha. Then I decided not to contest election, wanted to quit politics. Then Prime Minister made me the first.
Prabhu sir is signal is lost or
मैं बात
Sorry.
कर रहा हूँ सर, मैं उनके ऑफिस, हाँ लग गया सर, लग
no
गया.
no now he's
Yeah,
we can
he's
see
there,
the
sir.
movement.
Yes, sir. Over to Shri Suresh Prabhu.
So 20 years ago, I was a minister of power. And I had come to the
PhD
chamber,
chamber.
US chamber.
Yeah.
And at chamber also had spoken about it at that time, 20 years ago. That power is such a problem that now today we don't talk about it. That time wherever you go, people will talk about power problem. I said, I will find out a solution to the problem in a way that will make surplus power available in India. People used to laugh at me. They say, you must be a mad person. Just imagine that one law that we changed in 2002, with Electricity Act 2003, we made it present to the Parliament in 2002. What was the law? That today, that time the situation was that in 1948, we had nationalized all the power sector and created integrated monopolies of state. So state had no money and the private sector was not allowed to come in. We changed the law, brought generation, delicensed it, made sure that anybody can generate electricity. $250 billion of investment came into power sector in the next 10 years. I started that time distribution reforms also. Unfortunately, I had to resign as a power minister. As you know, then Vajpayee made me in charge of the interlink of rivers. So when I changed, my portfolio changed, that project could not be implemented. But if you had worked on that today, the problem would not have been there even in distribution. I'm just saying, when you talk about reform, and you mentioned 3-4 very interesting areas, administration, police, judiciary, etc. The reforms has to be sector-wise like power sector or must be institution-wise. What all you are mentioning now are institutional reforms. You must change the institution of judicial institution, how they can be functioning, they can offer justice in a shortest time, in a most transparent way, forward-looking. Police, which maintains the law and order, how their institution should be reformed, how administration must be changed. And these are very important because, as I always maintained, spoken about in the parliament, that if you don't bring institutional reforms and only being sectoral reform, the problem is that sector is like a bomb. Suppose I made a power sector reform. So that's like a one sector, but to make that sector reform a reality, you need administration. You need system by which you can implement it. It is like a bomb which you have one bomb with you, but to make that bomb land in your enemy territory, you need a carrier. You need the vehicle to take it to that level. And a vehicle and a carrier is the administration. So if you don't make administrative and all these reforms, and only make sectoral reform, then there is a problem that you mentioned. And I agree with you fully. So this is a time, as you correctly, and that's why I'm repeating again what you mentioned, that this is a time to take advantage of a crisis and convert that into an opportunity. Use this crisis as a stirring point, as a trigger for bringing these long overdue reforms in this sector. If you can do that, then we'll be able to decide that this is my aim, national aim, this is my national goal. And that national goal must be fulfilled, then all the arms of the state must work towards achieving that national goal. The administration, the judiciary, the political leadership, everybody, they must work toward that common goal. Today, it doesn't happen. It happens that one arm of the state may think one, but other arm of the state may be thinking completely different. So that alignment that is necessary to make sure that we achieve the overall national result doesn't happen. And where it is get deflected, as it is pointed out by my dear friend, the Vice President, he mentioned about China. Companies want to move out of China, which is a fact. And this is not now, it is happening for a long period of time. The intellectual property rights issues in China, Now today, because of coronavirus, we come to know that it can even affect your global supply chains very effectively. Thirdly, the problem is lack of transparency and many issues. So China has benefited from overall investment that came from outside the country, and that's how China became a powerhouse of almost $14 trillion or now $15 trillion economy. But as you mentioned, the companies are going to Vietnam, people are going to Indonesia, companies are willing to go to other countries, but not necessarily all of them are coming to India. And why? For the reason that I just mentioned, which you also initially, each one of you talked about it, that maybe I go and talk to Chinese and say, please come to India. But others will say, why we should bring China? Why should we bring company from there? They're coming for their own good. So that national goal of getting foreign direct investment into India must be achieved only when all the different institutions will come together and they will say, this is what I need. And to make that happen, we need that kind of a synergy of all institutions working together towards one common. And that's why the reforms are necessary. Because whenever we talk about reform, we should be asking a question to ourselves, what is reform? I used to answer that question I used to put that question to myself, and I answered in my own way that reforms are necessary when there is something deformed. You don't send the best child of your family to a reform school. You change the naughty child, someone who is not doing well, to the reform school. So if there is no deformation, why there is a reformation necessary? So we must identify what is deformed, and we know exactly, as you have correctly pointed out. And why you have pointed out? Because you know where the shoe pinches. You are wearing it. You are in business today, and a businessman know exactly what is the problem of it. And we must understand this problem very clearly, that if there is no businessman, there is no economic progress. And if there is no economic progress, there are no tax revenues. If there are no tax revenues, we cannot put that money back into social sector. So business has to grow in India for economy to grow, and business is the best way we can make prosperity available to the people of India. And when you say business, it is integrated. You cannot have trading without manufacturing, because what you will trade? You cannot keep trading something which is not even manufactured. So somebody has to manufacture for somebody to trade. So there is a link between trade and manufacturing. There is a linkage between service and manufacturing. Because even if I manufacture something in Bhilai, steel, to bring it to Chennai, I need transportation. Even if I'm in transportation, it has to be insured. So transportation, insurance, communication, travel, tourism, they are all services. But services cannot work independently unless there is a linkage between trade, industry, and service. But trade, industry, and service again cannot work independently unless they are also linked to agriculture. Because most of our manufactured products, there is some linkage or other with agriculture or with the land. Like you are saying, you want to manufacture steel. Can you manufacture steel without iron ore? Can you manufacture cotton garments without cotton? Can you manufacture jute bags, which are necessary for packing, without jute? Jute is agriculture product. So all of these are interrelated. So coming to the point that business is the only, must be the only activity that we must try to focus on as the society and make business grow. And to make business grow, these linkages have to be kept in mind. The other aspect of linkage, and I think PhD chamber will understand it better, that we all agree that we must get more companies from China to come to India. Now, which are those companies? Where are they come from? They must be Europeans, they must be Americans. They could be Japanese, they could be Korean. Some of them could be Australian, and some of them may be Brazilians or somebody like that. But all of them would make to come to India means what will be categorizing is that this is foreign direct investment. So when they come for foreign direct investment, you cannot have FDI, and which all of us agree that we want to bring them to India. You cannot get FDI unless we have an open economy. You cannot tell companies to come here and say my economy is completely closed like North Korea, please come and invest in India. So why people did not go to North Korea but went to China? Both are communist, both have some similar system. Because China opened up. They said FDI is possible, you can export from here. Economically, Korea was closed. So we also must keep in mind, to get all this, we have to have an economic policy which will ensure that we can work on all these areas. So point I'm saying is, these are all extremely well thought of idea that you're given, and I really fully agree with you. In fact, I will only tell you one thing, that as your representative, as your honorary member of the PhD Chamber of Commerce, I will make sure, I will make sure that I will pass on all these ideas to the right people, and in fact, on work on it. Because as I said, I have seen this very closely in my 10 different cabinet positions over the last 25 years, and I can clearly see that all these are extremely important ideas, and that too coming from where? See, you are all people who are day to day facing problems. If you are made free not to face this problem, each one of you can do more business. If each one of you do more business, to carry out that business, you will employ more people. To employ more people, you will obviously create more jobs, more incomes. More income would lead to more demand, and economy will start doing well. So only by ensuring that we allow you to do business better, we can actually make this happen. When I was doing ideas of doing business, I was also focusing not this part. I was also telling people that not ease of doing business. We must now work towards please of doing business. People must be happy to do business, and please of doing business. If you bring in, automatically that will have a pleasure of doing something when you will do far better. So, Chairman Sahab, Mr. President, and all the office bearers, I request you that I will work with you very closely. I had to speak on some other webinar, that's why I just wanted to request you that I will have to leave at 3:45. And because there are so many webinars, earlier when there was no lockdown, you can say, how can I come from Delhi to Mumbai to speak? But today now you can speak from here to New York, here to Japan on the same time, because on the there is nothing like going physically there. So I have to speak some other program. I will request you that please accept my apology for being there only for 45 minutes, but I was very happy to listen to all of you. And I like this format very well, that you all ask me the question first, which helped me to understand the issues better. I will work with you, and let us take as a challenge, and I can clearly see India has a real good future. Prime Minister Modi has always been thinking. In fact, I had prepared a document for how this $5 trillion economy will happen as a commerce industry minister. 20% will come from industry, that's $1 trillion. 60% will come from services, that is $3 trillion. $1 trillion will come from agriculture-led services. For each of these, I prepared a draft industrial policy. I prepared 12 champion sectors of economy, for which 5,000 crore was allotted for services, and for agriculture, we had made the first ever India agriculture export policy. So all of this will happen. Prime Minister Modi is a great leader. He's really focused on it. So let's all work under that leadership and realize the dream of all of you. The dream is shared dream. This is our vision that has to be put into reality by everybody. And that's why we felt that not one part of the government, whether it's bureaucracy, judiciary, or whether it is police or others, should not work towards that common goal. So let's work together. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you,
very much,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your
Very assuring
wonderful
words.
remarks. Yes,
Yeah.
and as President had said, we are assuring, sir. And sir, we still have 1 minute, sir. Can I request my senior VP to give the concluding remarks just in 1 minute?
1
sir?
minute.
Over to Shri
No,
Sanjay Agarwal.
only one thing to say, sir. It is not the quantity of anything, but the quality which matters, the quality of time that you spent with us. I think we are very happy with that. These 45 minutes are much more useful than listening to people for 2 hours, sir. I think you have been so supportive, so patient, and so pragmatic and positive, sir. We are very hopeful, and we'll send you a special proposal on the social sector spend and how big a multiplier effect it will have, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
We
you.
are really great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I'll be in touch with your office, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.